So yeah, this is using human-centered design in your makerspace. And I am Stephen Luciano. I am the Technical and Education Manager of Fab Lab Carnegie Science Center. I have worked here for I think it'll be 10, my 10th year will be starting in like 2 weeks, which is wild to think about. But we are a museum-based makerspace. We really focus on the educational side of things. My own background, so I went to school for biology and anthropology. Um, so I'm not, I didn't, when I started, I didn't necessarily know what a maker was or that that was something that I could identify as. And so I've just kind of picked everything up as I've gone along, and I found that to be really helpful for, my journey as a maker and a maker educator.
Hi, everybody. My name is Zaina Reese. I am the STEAM program director here at the Homewood-Brushton YMCA. So I'm based out of Pittsburgh, Pennsylvania, USA. I am a I'm an artist. I think that's how I came to this maker journey is being an artist first and then a very early mother. I have a 17-year-old and so any time that I was making in the studio, I always had her alongside. So my adulthood was basically how do we nurture our young people in the tactileness of what we do every day. I'm also an elected official and work in a lot of violence prevention and intervention groups. So all of these kind of pieces contribute to how I show up in the YMCA at our makerspace. Haha,
Yeah,
continue.
yeah.
So our makerspace is in a YMCA. Not all of the YMCA's in Pittsburgh have a makerspace, so we're pretty unique in that. Our space is called the Y Creator Space. It is a space where we support creating meaningful relationships and meaningful relationships where everyone leaves feeling they belong. The way that we do this is just finding their own connections with the natural environment. We do have the traditional makerspace, which I'm actually physically in right now. Uh, and we have a garden. And so we fuse both of these environments together using looking at technology and asking the questions, how can we use technology to enhance and be in a like a different relationship with their natural environment, and hopefully like a more caring and holistic relationship. But we're not just looking at the technologies and our natural environment, but also how we show up in our communities. And so we give our youth voice is a big piece of that. And we um, do a lot of ideating together, brainstorming, playing and creating, making all together in community. So that's a big part. And here's some shots from our youth that come visit us.
And so again, a little bit more about the BNY Fab Lab at Carnegie Science Center. Again, we've been around for about 10 years. We have both van-based mobile Fab Labs, as well as our on-site lab at the Science Center, which we're really exciting. We're actually moving to a new location within the Science Center in less than 2 months. So that's very exciting. But something that we kind of found early on is we sort of developed this mission as an educational makerspace. So Liz White Wolf actually brought us through some human-centered design exercises, and we came up with a mission statement that we thoughtfully incorporate STEM competencies into making experiences that teach technological fluency. So learners of all ages and abilities engage with digital fabrication content through collaborative public classes, mobile Fab Lab outreach, student programming, mentoring sessions, professional learning, and virtual offerings. That's a little bit of a mouthful, but we are able to shorten it to just two words that are blurry on the wall behind me, but you should be able to see the photo at the bottom is making makers. And that's been really empowering for us as like that is what we do. We are at a science museum, so we're really involved in that sort of uh, you know that educational, fun, inspiring uh, environment, and so that's sort of what we do in our lab. Is we want to empower uh, students with this skill set. And show that everyone is welcome in the makerspace, and makerspaces are for everyone. So we'll go ahead and uh, try to get a little bit of information from you all. So we have a QR code up there. I will have to exit out of the screen, but that's actually fine because I can copy and paste this in the chat, and then hopefully, and then I will switch over to the Menti. All right. So, in the spirit of iteration, this is my first iteration of using a Menti on uh, a session this large. But okay, so is everyone able to add words to the word cloud? Awesome. We got teaching, we got user-friendly, people, function, creative, innovation, design, critical thinking, center, agency. Ooh, that's a really good one. Innovation, if I haven't already said it, they keep moving around. Priority, interesting. Teaching, voice. Ooh, that's a good one. Um, yeah, lots of really, really good stuff. Kindness is great. Um, universality, another good one. Uh, so helpful, teamwork. Um, yeah, really, really great. So yeah, these are all good. I think we're all kind of coming from the same sort of space with human-centered design. Awesome. I'll give it. We've got collaboration. I think is new. Um, so I could sit here and look at letters forever or look at words forever, but we'll go ahead and move on. So it sounds like you all are kind of experienced. You have an idea of what human-centered design is. So I'm curious if anyone um, has used human-centered design in their makerspace before. Zaina and I are going to share about how we have used human-centered design, and we'll give you a little bit of a method that we want to try out. But I'm curious to see what you all have maybe done or used human-centered design with before. So it's a little bit of an open-ended question. So not sure. Okay, fair. I mean, that's probably why you're here. Um, hopefully, I mean, hopefully you'll come away with some ideas where when and where and how you can use it. We'll give it another little bit. Uh, Something that I thought about adding to this slide was our community norms, one of which is be willing to experience discomfort. And so I will experience the discomfort of waiting to make sure that everyone has a chance to share, because that's another of our community norms is that every one has expertise to offer. Every person has relevant strengths to bring to each group worthy task. So, all right, it seems like we got a lot of folks who aren't sure or looking for ways to incorporate. So I will go ahead. Oh, sorry. I think so. Okay, let's see. Or at least ranting about the fact that it's not human-centered. Yeah, that's something that we do. It's kind of designed by, what's by exclusion, like what's not human-centered design. We get through that first, and then we get into what is human-centered design. All right. So yeah, kind of trying to like gauge people's comfort. Again, we're kind of interested to see where we are, sort of judge the audience because I don't know about you, Zaina, but I don't want to like preach to people. I want to, share and have fun. So,
Yeah, no, I hear that. And honestly, chances are, many of us, and maybe not in the always in the forethought of our focus, but chances are you've experienced human-centered designs in some form or fashion. Um, it could be as minute as, collectively deciding what movie to watch, family movie night. Though I will say that can be a um, contentious at my house, at least.
so again, feel free. You can put this in here or throw it in the chat. And Homan-centered design, not an intentional typo, but that is definitely something that I try to do you know I want to bring into like my design. I want to put a sticker on our wall in our new space that is like specifically misspelled. We once had someone make a sign that said iteration, and she misspelled iteration, and it was the best sign I've ever seen because you could like literally cross it out and write a new one. So again, if there's anything specific you want to know more about, feel free to throw it in here, or you're also welcome to put it in the chat. So any and everything. Design for individuals versus collective. That's interesting. Best practices, how to incorporate it and convincing others who think it's too much effort. Awesome.
Mm.
Those are all yeah, it's yeah, the trying to convince people indulge. Okay, yeah, interesting. Okay, so integrating it into the makerspace from other spaces, that's really awesome. So I think these are all things that we might be able to touch on or help you start to touch on. So we'll exit that and head back to our slideshow, and it's probably gonna start. Nope, yeah, okay, good. All right. So now we've gotten you already got you writing. We maybe should have done this before, but we have a little design warm up. So if you've already done this one before, just bear with us. So if ever does everyone have a writing utensil, pencil, pen, marker, crayon, whatever, and a piece of paper in front of them? We'll give everyone just a little bit to do that. All right. Your task is to draw a present, present, draw a present, trying to enunciate in my Western Pennsylvania accent, and go ahead. You have 10 seconds. I'll give you a bonus like 2 seconds because we're online. And all right. So, does anyone want to be brave and share the present that they drew? I see a box. Luke, I only see glare, but thank you. If you even want to come off mute and share, or if anyone wants to, doesn't have their screen up and just wants to share really quickly, feel free. Okay, I'm seeing boxes with bows. Uh, so can you, yeah, if you drew something that was like a box with a bow, go ahead and give us like a thumbs up or like some kind of a reaction. Cool, awesome. Great. So, who here has ever actually gotten a present that looks exactly like that? A box wrapped perfectly with a bow. Some of us, yeah, okay. But it's not all presents, right? But you were creative, this that's kind of the first battle we need to overcome in human-centered design or working in a makerspace is just like that creative confidence, right? So a lot of folks, if I had asked you beforehand, you might not have considered yourself a creative person, but you are, in fact, a creative person. You just have to practice it. Again, kind of going with some of the stuff we talked that was talked about earlier. Okay, so we have one more drawing to do. So if you can turn your piece of paper over or fold it in half, whatever you need to do. And this time you are going to be drawing your perfect present. So whatever your perfect present is. So again, present, as in like an object. Uh, so go ahead and take 10-ish seconds to do that. All right. So you can go ahead and stop. If anyone wants to be brave and share, feel free. Nice. I see money from Luke. Uh, Danielle, I'm not sure. It's like a hug or something. Uh, we've got Aristarco, a plane, like travel. Um,
A
Aaron,
broken alarm clock?
yeah, Aaron, I can't see. It is blurred, but that's okay. So, and this is something that is so that we would do. Nice, I love it. Yeah. Um, this is something that if we were in person, we would if you were had someone sitting next to you, you would then switch your perfect present, and there is a good chance that the present you got would not then be your perfect present. I know with money, like we would all probably enjoy having money, um, but the idea is that we want to be thinking about designing for others, right? So we know, we can be creative, and now we just need to kind of be thinking about the right problems and the right solutions and designing for others. So this is an activity that we like to do before we do a big human-centered design project in our lab. This is a Stanford D School activity, so you can find information about that online. Has anyone here done this one before? Yeah, well, it's fun. All right. So again, getting more into what human-centered design is. So I learned from the Luma Institute, which is based here in Pittsburgh. Um, so I was a little skeptical talking about getting buy-in. The guy from Luma was doing his very best Steve Jobs impression with like the black turtleneck and the jeans. And I was like, I don't know about this guy. And then like he actually went through what it was, and I was like, oh, these are actually a really useful set of tools that I can use to, help make decisions among groups and to, bring more people into that process. It's essentially a facilitated brainstorming techniques, a series of those. The discipline of developing solutions at the service of people. The idea is you start with like the human, start with what you want, and then figure out that sort of Venn diagram overlap of what is, viable and what is feasible. What can you do, and what makes sense to do. Human-centered design is people-centered. Again, like putting people at its center. It's thinking about solving the right problem, right? So making sure you're actually looking at the right thing. Thinking about systems, right? Thinking about things within their context. Thinking about what might happen a little bit further away, but at the same time thinking about simple and small interventions. It is an iterative process as well. So those are kind of some of the fundamental building blocks of human-centered design. And talking a little bit about how it is in use at Fab Lab Carnegie Science Center. So Again, we use that. So we did that activity we just did before our mentors in the making program. And so we basically we ask the question, how might we use digital fabrication to make the world a better place? And then we brainstorm first like groups of people that we can make stuff for, and everyone writes down as many things on post-it notes as possible, and everyone's like, my ideas are terrible, but we write them all down and then like share them out and affinity cluster them together. And it's really cool to see that like it's like, oh yeah, I was thinking about that too. And you can see, they starting to build that empathy and that confidence as well. We then Once we have those groups, we put them in columns, and then in rows, we will put our technology. So for us as a Fab Lab, we've got laser cutter, 3D printer, vinyl cutter, usually circuits and soldering or electronics, and then we'll just throw in a wild card. And So then we basically populate that grid with ideas. And so that's a great way to generate ideas for this project or for any project that you might be doing. And again, that's talked about the mission statement or the purpose statement. We use that for our own lab, and then we use that for training other institutions, including the Homewood Y. We worked with Zaina there. And I'm gonna stall for time because I don't see. Oh, there she is. Uh,
I'm here. I
okay.
just got the low battery.
Oh no.
Okay. Yeah. So, great transition, Steve. Because yes, we did go through the process with the Science Center and how that has shifted over what it's been 2 years since this space has shifted into a makerspace. It used to be a child daycare center, and we definitely, that process was so great having the community. And I'll be honest, most of the people that showed up were not staff members. So actually having our youth in the space, giving ideas or seeing like, oh, this is the technology I see, or this is these are community groups that are within our circles, within our community, our neighborhood, that I'm a part of or they're a part of, um, and having them be able to put down the potential collaborations, have we have a pretty big elder population here at the Y. And so our silver sneakers have also participated in a version of this after we did the session with the Science Center. And so the iterative process has been very real. Also, if I seem a little distracted, it is after school time and our students are coming in. Um, so, but with that, taking it a step further, um, and how this relational process, relationship, right? This is the human-centered design is all about the relationships that you have, and how do you foster them? And something that had been coming up was that of transparency. So this is a technique that I have introduced here, where whether we're entering in a partnership, whether I'm working with groups of students, whether I'm working with families to redesign a program, I come to the table asking three things. We're coming together saying like what we have to offer. We're coming together, identifying our needs, and like, this is what I'm hoping um, this program or this relationship can like fill in. And then the third part is about one's capacity, and the capacity to, do you have time to offer the thing that you have the skill set to? Do you have personal space, right? Do you have other obligations that are outside of your control, that where you're that are pulling on you? And this could be, you can look at it from a very personal level, but then also within your organization, thinking about time and staffing, any other constraints in terms of um, funding. Funding constraints are very real. The spaces, maybe your space is not only used by you, but maybe it's also rented out or used by other groups of people. So really thinking like, you're identifying and putting all of the pieces on paper here so that you can you're distilling so that you can, okay, this is actually the very clear pathway forward. And you're not setting up expectations that are unmanageable or, you know, just, I think I'm gonna leave it right there.
So yeah, we want to. This was Xana's really great idea. Is we've done an activity doing an asset map before. It's just kind of one flat sheet of paper. But we are gonna instead invite you all to do this as making a zine. So this is something I've done before. I know Xana does with her students. So what you want to do, if you want to do it this way, is fold your piece of paper, if it's an 8.5 by 11 or an A4 sheet of paper, um, basically any way you can get it into like 8 square-ish shapes. It doesn't have to be exactly like it is on this picture. I know that's what tripped me up. And then you want to cut. So there's a slit in the middle, and see?
Yeah, do you want me to take it from here?
Sure.
So you have, I'm just going to use this recycled piece of paper. You have your piece of paper, and we're going to make one fold. Oftentimes well, some of us know this to be the hot dog fold, but it is along the long edge. So make sure your corners are nice and together and you have a nice crease. Once you have that fold, we're going to open it up and we're going to do the opposite. So it's a hamburger. We call this the hamburger fold. So it's along the short end, making sure our corners are nice and together. And then from here, I do, I create a rectangular airplane. So I'm going to fold one to that center fold. And I'm going to do the same with this. So you will end up with this sort of rectangular airplane. Once you have this shape, you're going to take your scissors and you're going to cut this center fold right here. So you're going to cut through this V up through here. You're going to stop right at the middle. So you will end up with this. There's our plane, and that's our cut. And then from here, if you just hold one of these flaps, it should, if your creases are nice and tidy and tight, it should just flop down and you will end up with this shape. And you pick a side for your, and you smush. I made a zine. I'm teaching them. I am teaching them. It is a live class. Look, they're up there. Yes, you did. Okay, they didn't see you, I'm sure. So here will here are your panels. You have your cover, you have 3 full spreads in your zine, and then you'll have your back cover. And so I have identified here, you can make your cover as snazzy as you want to, or as simple. It is yours. And this is your space to just put all of your ideas. This is essentially, we're diving into creating an asset map. Steve, you want to talk about the asset note?
Yeah, sure. So yeah, this is something we like to do early on in the process. So this is one that's actually not in the Luma tool set. But basically the idea is you want to figure out, who and what you have in place. Because if we're in a Fab Lab and I wanted, our goal was going to be to play Mozart's concerto or something. um Being in a Fab Lab, we don't necessarily have the tools to do that, so you want to think about the tools that you have in place. um the people, internal people in your organization. If you work in an organization with multiple people, you want to think about external people. Who do you have connections with in your community? You want to think about like the infrastructure, both like physical places and spaces. And you want to think about like the technology that you have. So, for me, in Fab Lab Carnegie Science Center, we would have internally, myself, my two coordinators, Ben and Kathy, my two amazing STEM instructors, Emily and Abby, our awesome part-timer, Michaela, um, and we'd have the other team at the Science Center. We would have external partners like the Homewood-Y Creator Space, and a list of other partners. Places and spaces. We would have, our current space for a little bit, and then our space, when we make the move, we would have the laser cutters and the laptops and whatnot as our technology. We would have like our ideas, our sort of like, mental infrastructure. We would have the lesson plans that we wrote. We would have the way we teach, the our sort of pedagogies. Where we're situated with in terms of like offerings. What can we do, right? And then as well, capacity. And then the back cover, if and when you are ready to work on that, you can do a self-portrait, you can do whatever you want, but I think it's really important to include you and your story in this. That's something that like kind of doesn't always get said, but we all have stories, and our stories are really important to sort of how and why we do this work. And your story can be an asset. Like my story of, I don't didn't consider myself a maker, and then I was, I helped out with our Fab Lab for a day. And I was hooked because I knew that I could make laser cut Dungeons and Dragons models. And so, because of that, I'm now here 10 years later. Uh, yeah, and again, I think at this point we can sort of transition into questions. Zaina, if you have anything to add. um, cool. But yeah, we wanted
Yeah,
you.
no, sorry, go ahead.
No, you're sorry. We wanted you to come away with a tangible thing that would kind of be a start on your human-centered design journey. And again, for the folks who were talking about like how do we convince people, this is kind of where your start of like this is like thinking about who you have, who's in your corner, who you might need a little bit of help with that kind of thing. Um, Again, kind of give you a place to kind of get your ideas all in one spot. And ooh,
Yeah, I was actually going to ask. Yeah, thanks, Steve.
yep. Yes. So we have a couple of resources. So again, the Luma Institute is where I learned. It's basically they have cool stuff. I have an extra one over here, my emergency backup deck of cards. So it's a little just like a deck of cards with all the different methods. And you can kind of create little essentially recipes. But things like rosebud thorn are on here where, uh, what's a rose, what's something good, what's a bud, what's something that could be better, and what, a thorn, what's something bad. Or things like so the anthropology side of me really enjoys this, is like interviewing, right? Like doing ethnographic interviews, just asking people like, hey, what are you doing, or why did you do that, or what do you need help with, right? That is human-centered design too. IDEO.org as well has a design kit that has a lot of similar stuff to Luma, and it's also totally free, which is amazing. Uh, so there's QR codes there. I will escape out of the slideshow view because I thought I added the links, but maybe I didn't. But I can you know add the links to the chat, or if you just Google Luma Institute or IDEO.org design kit, that would also work. So again, any questions? Again, like any more specifics, things that you know, questions we sort of didn't answer, areas we didn't get into. Feel free to type in the chat, come off mute. Again, I'm willing to embrace discomfort. Go back to this.
Hi,
Um,
Stephen. This is
Hi.
Danielle. I'm coming from East Palo Alto, California. I really like the fresh way. I'm in East Palo Alto, is right next to Palo Alto, which is right next to Stanford, which is where IDA came from. But I'm originally from MIT, so I was like, what did this D school mean? But I think you guys give a really good fresh presentation of it, so great job. My question would be is especially for Zena, who I'm 99% sure me and Zena have been in a training together at some point. Um, Around like I teach high school and I try to do human-centered design, and I primarily have freshmen that are like 14, and they are just literally not in the maturation state to think outside of themselves sometimes. Um, so like the design challenge I give them is like thinking about how a lefty has to use like a pair of scissors. And I am shocked how many times they say they should just use their other hand. And then so I wondered if you guys had an experience or like how to have that conversation with them of building that empathy in a way that doesn't feel like, you have to empathize, like it's a grade or, you're forcing them to do it.
No, that's a great question. I also experienced the same. So you are not alone. I work with ages 9 to 14. So, okay, so what should I say, 9 to 15? Okay. Uh, okay, so consensus here, 9 to 15. So the way it's a matter of practice, it's an everyday introduction, and I don't make a big deal about it, but it's just like, hey, have you considered? Hey, have it next day. Hey, have you considered? Right? It's in bite sizes and just consistent. That's my method. I'm sure there are lots of other methods, but that's the way that I don't lose my mind over it. But over because I see the youth year after year, because I'm an out of school time space, I can see the development and like all of those seeds planted, which might be different in a traditional school setting. So I could see um, that's my tidbit. Steve, you got anything on that one?
Yeah. So I think in that instance, it would be like, could you show them like, is there a left-handed person in the class that you could like, get to talk about their experience? So when we do, we call it difference makers, but it's basically the mentors in the making program shrunk down to 1 week. We do like little mini design challenges. And so I bite my nails, which is not great. And so my struggle is that I can never open cans of delicious, delicious seltzer that I want so very badly. And so, I will show them, hey, this is legitimately me struggling with the can of seltzer. Can you, in 30 minutes, help me do this? And so, really having those, having that direct, having a person in front of them, it's kind of hard. It's harder, not impossible, especially for teens, but it's harder to be cynical when you have a real person in front of you, I think. And then Helen has a great, yeah, and again, like extending to the human centered design, like, yes, think about their, their family. That we always encourage our mentors in the making students to, like we just did this brainstorm, but also like, hey, go talk to your grandma or grandpa at home, or your aunt or uncle, or your parents' friend, whoever. Like, who do you know that like might need something? Um, question: how often do you recommend your organization reevaluate its assets? That's a good question. It's probably one of those things that we could do every year or two. Certainly, every time there's a significant change in the organization. Um, but it's definitely, again, it really embraced that iterative process. Um, cool. So yeah, we have 45 seconds or so if anyone has any last questions. But thank you all so much for participating. I hope you had fun. I hope you believe that you are creative people, because you all are. Um, and yeah, I hope you came away with something. And feel free to reach out to Z or myself if you have any further questions.